Y8, promoting my brand in writing and in person. By the end of this session, you'll be able to emphasize your personal brand during the job application process, demonstrate your personal brand in day-to-day interactions, and recognize opportunities to promote your personal brand in writing and in person. We'll start off with job applications. Here, the emphasis is on how to convey your personal brand effectively in your applications, not on the actual process of filling them in. You knew that, didn't you? Application forms. Most application forms require some sort of personal statement outlining how you meet the job requirements. The usual process is to go through the job description and personal specification for the role and ensure that you address their key requirements as you write your statement. If you find it difficult to focus on your personal brand as you write, start by responding to the role requirements first, detailing your relevant experience, etc., as you normally would. After you've finished the first draft, read through and check the prominence of your personal brand and look for opportunities to reinforce it throughout. For example, the job requires attention to detail, and you also want to emphasize your person-centered values. Rather than simply stating that you have good attention to detail and giving some evidence of that, you may instead write, I pay close attention to detail because I want to ensure that individuals that engage with the service I provide as quickly as possible and easily as possible. They can then focus their attention on things that are important to them in their work. For example, I recently produced a well-received user manual for the email system. Thus, you have emphasized your personal strength, concern for others. You've also explained the benefit to the employer of this behavior, i.e. saving colleagues time, and you have given an example that they can explore further in your interview. The aim is to make yourself stand out from other candidates enough to be interviewed. Competency-based questions. Some application forms ask a series of competency-based questions focusing on the key skills the organisation is looking for. Previously, you'd answered a question about your adaptability. This is a typical example. The format is slightly different to that of a personal statement, but the same principle applies to ensure that your personal brand is reflected in each answer. Strengths-based questions. If the questions on the applications are strength-based, they will focus on what you enjoy doing rather than what you can do. E.g., describe an occasion when you have achieved something you were really proud of. This is a perfect opportunity to share your personal brand. Refer back to the work you've previously done and make sure you include some of those in your answer. Remember to always keep in mind the strengths the employer is looking for so you can make your answer as relevant as possible to them. CVs. The personal profile or personal objective, which comes at the top of your CV, can easily be adapted to incorporate your personal brand. It should give the employer a clear introduction to your CV, grabbing their attention and encouraging them to read on. The mistake that many people make with their personal profile is to write something vague and generic. It needs to be unique to you and contain some concrete facts to back up what you are saying. It also needs to be consistent with the content of the rest of your CV. Task number 1. Profile for my CV. Here is an example of a typical personal profile. I'm a dedicated team player with retail experience. I have successfully managed a small concession in a large department store and have demonstrated my ability to make a profit. I am an excellent motivator and can work effectively with a wide range of customers and colleagues. So, how could personal brand be made clearer in that profile? What facts could be included? Write your suggestions down in your book. Okay, your personal brand can be reflected through your CV. For example, you can highlight key strengths through your employment history and perhaps demonstrate your values by discussing your voluntary work, etc. The key to writing an effective CV is tailoring it to each employer you are sending it to. Aligning your personal brand with their company values or strengths you know they look for in their employees should put you ahead of much of your competition. If you support this approach with evidence that demonstrates that you have used these values and strengths, you'll be ticking a lot of the employer's boxes. So now we're going to go on to day-to-day writing, for example, in emails. The most difficult thing to get across effectively in an email is tone. How many times have you read an email and felt slightly disgruntled by the sender's attitude? But they might not have intended to come across like that. Staying true to your personal brand might help you avoid that situation yourself. It's recommended that you start your emails with something that will build rapport. For example, you might say, hope all's well in the accounts department on this horrible rainy day. I'm not looking forward to cycling home. Or, thanks for the message last week. I'm sorry it's taken me a long time to reply. A series of small... taken me a long time to reply. A series of small crises has kept me away from the email for a few days. There's an opportunity for them to refer to your comment in their reply. I get wet on the way home too, for example, which starts to build rapport between you. There are various ways of communicating your personal brand via email. We've said it before and I'll say it again. By being authentic in your tone and language, by drawing attention to shared experiences or values, by asking the recipient if they have time for a coffee so you can discuss the issue, by always responding to emails quickly and effectively, e.g. by sending a holding email if it's likely to take some time to fully respond. The recipient is more likely to pay attention to the tone and the content of your message if they're not furious about the amount of time they've been waiting for you to reply.